Dalid, right? Okay, Kelim P5 Mishnah Dalid. If you have an oven that got heated up from the outside, which is very interesting because it's going to be in tonight's stuff, the similar case. You have an oven, so like we said, that an oven, in order to make it makabel tumah, has to be completed. So how do you complete it? By putting it in, heating it up, so to make it solidified, right? So then, but here it was heated from the outside, not on the inside. Or if somebody heated it up without any knowledge, or if it was heated up in the Beis HaUman, meaning in the before he brought it to the owner, the Beis HaUman, the oven maker, heated it up. That's all. That's all. It's all considered tummy. Meaning it's not tummy. It's right to be makabel tumah. Maisa shenafla deleka betanuri kvar signa. There was a story where a fire, nafla deleka means a fire, fell literally, in the tanuri kvar signa, meaning, and they were still, meaning it was not fully, the oven wasn't fully finished, right? Uba Maisa Yavna, and the story came to Yavna, B'Timon Rabbi Gamliel, and Rabbi Gamliel said they're tummy, right? Yeah, because the Maisa that fits with the first part of the Mishnah. The first part of the Mishnah said that it gets heated on the outside, or it got heated with Shalomi Daitoi, or it got heated up in the Beis HaUman. So all those, we make it like the oven is considered in its final stage, and therefore it will be right to be makabel toma, right? And that's and then it brings the Maisa. I'm not sure why the Mishnah brings the Maisa, but that brings the Maisa. Okay, Mishnah Hey. Musaf Hatanur Shal Balabatim. Right now, Balabatim would add on to the top of the oven, right? Meaning they would add on some sort of what do we call it yesterday? Accessory, right? An accessory. Yeah, meaning they added. Meaning this is added like an added extra insulation. So that's going to be tahor. Meaning it's a separate entity than the oven. Why? Because it's totally independent, right? But from a baker, that's tummy. Because the baker will put his spits on there, right? So therefore, it's considered part of his thing. Rav Yochanan says, it's the reason why it's tameh is because he'll use this top accessory, this attachment. He'll use it to bake if he's like in a rush or whatever it is. He needs to bake a lot of things. Similarly, most of hayora shosholke zaysin, the when you add onto the top of a pot for the people that cook olives. The people, I guess, they cooked olives, so they also had an attachment that they put an accessory onto theirs, a tame, that's also tame. So therefore, since they use it, it's considered part of the pot, so it's gonna be tame. But for people that use it to dye things, then for them it's tar, right? Because the reason why you put this attachment on top of the oven is not because you need it for the oven's sake. You're just putting it there to make sure that the dye doesn't overflow and get all over the place. So that's what it's doing. It's not considered really part of the oven, and it's considered a separate entity. Okay, we'll stop over there. I actually remembered my Musar Sefer, so we're middle of this long shar. I mean, with shar, well, shar gimel is very long shar, but even the sif kuf mem ches, and he's talking about giving covet to Talmidei Chachamim. Yeah, I think v'acharei. It's almost at the end of Kuf. For those that are following Kuf Mem Ches. V'acharei asher is borei. After we've already clarified Sha'akol bara Hashem Yisbarach l'chvaydai, that everything was created by Hashem for His covet, for His honor. Chayav adam lasam liboy b'chaleis. A person has to put into his heart at all times l'chabed es Hashem u'lekache b'chol dvaros. To be mechabed Hashem and to be mekadesh Him with everything. U'leroimimai, and to raise Him up. U'lahaydos lai, and to thank Him. U'levarchay tamid, and to give brachas to Him constantly. K'may shenemar avachas Hashem b'chol eis tamid ti lasay b'fi. I'm going to thank Hashem at all times, and His praise is always going to be in my mouth. Because when somebody's standing with people and he's talking to his friends, he should think, be didactic and be careful, and he should be careful with anything that comes out of his mouth. In order to be Mekadesh Hashem's name with words, and to always constantly praise Hashem, and to praise anybody who serves Him and fears Him, and he will be Zaycha by thinking this in his heart and by speaking it without any sort of work and having to use his hands. He's going to have a schus gedola ad shamayim, which is a very interesting lashon. It's till the heavens. Till the heavens, you're going to have a zas schus if you're constantly talking about and praising Hashem. Because that is from the ikr of the Yetziras Adam, is to constantly praise Hashem. And I'll just finish this one off because we haven't learned Musar in a week at least. And Nemar says, Matref lakesef v'kur lazov v'ish lefi ma'aloloi. There's a pasuk in Mishlei. It says, Matrei lakesef is matzah, because it means a thing that you use to complete silver. The kur lazov, and also a pot for the gold. V'ish lefi mahalaloi, and a person goes according to his praises. Pirish, what does this mean? Milos adam lefi mashi yahalal, that the mila of a person is, meaning you can figure out what a person is like by listening to what he praises. If he praises tzaddikim and the Rabbeinu Shalom, and he's constantly talking about these things, so then so then you know he's a good guy. And he has tzidkus because he's constantly talking about Tamid Chachamim and praising Hashem, etc., etc. Because a person is not going to find in himself to be praising things, and to also put down people that do averus, unless he's disgusted by bad things, and he chooses the good things. Meaning, what did Rabbi Freifeld used to say? He would always say, when a drunk, when he doesn't have alcohol, talks about alcohol, right? And he was fond of saying that, right? That was his big thing, right? So if you're fond of it, so you talk about it. That's why some people, when they're trying to figure out what a guy wants in shidduchim or a girl, so they call the girl and they ask about somebody else, and you see what the person praises, so you can see what priority that person. That's one of those underhanded, I don't know, Gnevas Das, etc., how that works, but that's one of the tricks to get to what somebody says. Even though a person who's praising tzaddik and praising Rosh might have hidden averus that he did, but he's still somebody who loves tzidkus, right? And he chooses good things. And he's from the crew that is mechaber Hashem. But somebody who's constantly praising bad things, and is praising Hashem. Who harasha hagamol? He is a rasha hagamol. By him doing that, he is being mechal he's being machal the Rabbeinu Shalom. So we're saying that there is a mitzvah. Basically, what Rabbeinu Yoin is saying is that there's a mitzvah to constantly talk about Hashem and the tzaddikim and praise them, and also, and then that's how you also see it's a siman for a good person if that's what he's constantly praising. Okay.